There's only one question of any value in life. Will this cause me joy or will this cause me suffering? And we need to have clarity about this. When we know what causes us joy and what causes us suffering, then we'll be free forever. And after watching this video, you will know this information. Hi, I'm Ashwin, the Beach Yogi. Welcome to another video where I'm going to talk to you about what are the sources of our joy and what are the sources of our suffering. Now, according to the Vedas and the Upanishads also speak about this, there are two sources of our joy, and this comes from our prarabdha karma and our sanchit karma. So we have to understand what these two are. Sanchit is a big pile of desires that you may or may not be able to fulfill in one lifetime, because our desires are limitless and we've had so many desires, and even in this birth you've had so many desires that you were not able to fulfill, right? So what happens to all those desires? They don't go away because they're all sacred. Desire is sacred, beauty is sacred, and enchantment is sacred, and we cannot be rid of desire. Okay, so to try and be rid of desire is a false spiritual teaching, and it only ends in frustration, because that itself is a desire. Okay, so don't do that fool's quest. Instead, celebrate your desires and know that even if you had the slightest desire, your consciousness has already attracted the energy to fulfill it, and it will happen in a glorious way. You just have to have that desire once and you will be able to experience it. You will be able to experience that pleasure of it. Okay, but why did we get the idea that desire makes things sour? So that's the problem. We have a big sanchit of pleasurable desire. It's only going to bring us joy if we follow it. But there are three ways in which we can interfere with the sanchit coming to us. Now, prarabdha is just like, sanchit is like a big water tank and prarabdha is like a tap. When you open the tap, what comes out, what has ripened, that is prarabdha, and it will make you happy because it's water. It's like water. It just flows and it just keeps you happy, and all you have to do is allow that to happen in your life and you'll be happy. But does that sound like your life, allowing things being happy? No, you're right, because there's three other ways in which you can interfere with the flow of prarabdha karma in your life. So karma sets the stage, karma creates the environment, karma creates your mood, karma tells you what words you can talk. Everything is determined only by karma. And we interfere with it. How do we interfere? One is an interference not even by you, but it's by your ancestors. So there are 12 basic ancestral karmas. I'll go into that into another video, but in another video I also go into it in my course. Each ripens according to one sign of the zodiac. So there are 12 zodiac signs, and as the sun travels through these 12 divisions, different kinds of ancestral trauma gets awakened. I'll give you an example. Women are always irritated with men, and this is a fact. Go and ask any woman, go and ask any man who's living together. Women get irritated with men all the time, and this is because our ancestors, men used to go hunting and they would come back with the infections, and when they touched the kids would die. So women would constantly have to watch men and make sure that they're clean and they're not going to kill their kids. They had to protect it. They had to figure it out. I think women figured out bacterial infection before any of the scientists. So they started to put restrictions upon men on how they can move. And this angered the men because they felt that it was not fair, because they're doing something for the family and they ought to be treated with more honor. But when it comes to protecting her child, the women go crazy. Okay, so this is a DNA. We've inherited this agama karma. And so when you get into a relationship with a man, as a woman, you'll always be irritated and you won't even know why. And this is called agama karma. Okay, so there's more like this, and this ripens during certain months of the year. This particular month is very powerful for the ripening of this karma of irritation with men, and this is also called Malamasa, which is going on right now. It's an additional. It's called shit month. Literally in Sanskrit, it's shit month. Okay, so Malamasa is because it has two Amavasyas, and one of the Amavasyas was Mahalaya. This month is Adhika Ashwin, but we do not celebrate Navratri, even though it's Ashwin month. We don't celebrate Navratri in this. We're going to wait until this Amavasya is over and the real Ashwin month starts. Okay, so then we'll have Navratri. So it's like it's the ancestral karma that's ripening, and it happens around this time. Okay, which is around September, October, maybe when the sun is starting to move into Leo, and that's when all of these things get activated. So there's 12 of these guys coming on to you, and if you know what they are, then you know what, you don't have to respond to it. When you catch it and you can remove it, and I remove it with my guru's grace, and my students remove it also with the grace of the akhada, and also my own spiritual practice which protects my students. So there's ways to protect yourself from agama karma, and it's to do with taking initiation into yoga and practicing it properly. When you get a mantra, to practice that mantra properly, it protects you. All right, so that's a very important part, which a lot of people, more than 50 people have taken the mantra but from me. Maybe 5 practice. The other 45 are busy being swept away by different karmas, right? So they can't even practice. Okay, so that's agama karma. That's just number 1. And now we'll talk about number 2, which is kriyaman karma. And kriyaman karma is all coming from our deviations from prarabdha, but it also comes, for example, from your previous tendencies and your previous birth. So let's say you were a king in your previous birth, then you, even though you have a prarabdha maybe in this birth to be a software engineer, you've come here to make some great programs that will make everyone's life easy and make you happy. Instead of that, you start going and buying stuff that you don't need. See? So tendencies from the past are forcing you, and because you're not aware, they're forcing you. But when you become aware and then you ask for grace to have it removed, and then you do the right mantras, you do the right rituals, you'll be able to remove it. Okay, so I want you to like start becoming aware that you have tendencies, and then when you look into it, when you're able to look into your past lives, when your kundalini is awakened enough to be in the orbit of dignity, inner dignity, when you for the first time in your life, when you have inner dignity, where you don't have self-doubt, where you're not violent to yourself, you're not hard on yourself, you actually respect yourself. That's when your third eye will open and you can see all of these karmas clear as day. Okay, but till then you have to really work on your dignity. So dignity is the first thing that you really need to establish in yourself. It's called Divya in Sanskrit. It's also called Ramya in Sanskrit, which is beauty and grace and all of that. So when you're graceful, when you're beautiful, when you have dignity inside, then only your third eye will open. If you're not dignified inside, your third eye will never open. Everything you see will be false. Okay, so when you start seeing the right thing, you get results in the world, and that's how you know it's the right thing. So people wonder, you see this, you said this about my karma, and now what? Yeah, because I saw somebody, who had been burnt at a stake or something like that, for example. Yeah, I see a lot of these things. Yeah, a lot of women have been burnt at the stake in their previous life, and in this life, they're just suffering so much, right? I met I cured a woman who was taken away in a flood and was floating. Her dead body was floating, and she's got those memories even now in her body. And so she floats in her life even now. She feels, what's the point of anything, because I can just die and I'll be floating, and so she's not really able to motivate herself to do anything because of this karma. And then I remove the karma. So once you remove the karma, there's a void, and it gets filled in by prarabdha. It takes a few weeks, like maybe 3 weeks or something, and it fills up with your prarabdha again, and you'll be back on track to happiness again. But when you're under the reeling of kriyaman karma, things how you've reacted to things that have happened to you in the past. When you do that, when you start reacting with a lot of fear and a lot of hate and a lot of anger, then you continue to carry that anger. You won't even know why you're angry. You have no idea why you're sad, why you're angry, why you're fearful. People don't even know till they go to their past life. So the first practice is inner dignity. For getting rid of karma, the first practice is inner dignity. If you don't have inner dignity, you cannot get rid of karma. Okay. And now the final one is runanubandha. And runanubandha is basically based on guilt. So when somebody does something that they feel is wrong, they have crossed their conscience, they've done something which is wrong, and they feel that they should not have done it, then they will pay for it by meeting that person and creating a karmic debt where they give energy to this person. But what happens is when these two people come together, they think that they're in love. You're not in love, you're in a runanubandha. So you have to give everything that person wants, and you have to give it. You have to be generous. You just have to give it. You have to listen to them up to a point where the karma gets over. When the karma gets over, and the relationship will be over. All right. So most of the relationships in the world are runanubandha, which people are not able to give. People are not giving. So the more you give to your partner without expecting anything back, the runanubandha will be over and you'll be free. And then you can do you can work on yourself, you can work on your yoga, you can work on your energy, you can work on your real life's purpose when you don't have all of these things weighing upon you in the background. Okay, so that's about the 3 ways in which you can become unhappy, and they're called the agama karma, ancestral karma, which ripens with the astrological cycles, runanubandha, which all karmas, all of these karmas, including prarabdha, they all ripen with each astrological cycle. Okay, so the runanubandha also ripens, and the kriyaman also ripens. So once we know what's going on, once you take initiation into yoga, and I initiate people into yoga every new moon. Okay, so there's a Amavasya coming up very soon. So if you want to learn yoga at that point, if you want to be initiated and you want to start working on your karmas, how many of you want to work on your karmas and get rid of all ways to be unhappy? If you want to do that, then get in touch with me. All right, I'll leave my WhatsApp number somewhere for you to look at. Send me a message and say, I want to get rid of my karmas, and then I'll give you the details of the initiation that is happening on this new moon, where you will learn something called the Girija mantra to protect you from all of these, and you'll be using that mantra in a special way. I'll teach you. Not only that, 15 days later, you're going to get your Giri name. So Giri is a yogi from the mountains like me. I call myself the beach yogi because I live by the beach in Pondicherry, but I trained in the mountains in a system called Giri Yoga. I also trained in Nath Yoga. I also trained in Aghora, and I also trained in Siddha Yoga. But finally, I'm getting a new lineage from this new moon, and that's called the Naga Yoga. So these are the 5 forms of yoga. There's Naga, Nath, Giri, Aghori, and there is whatever my Siddha Yoga. So these are the 5 yogas which I've learned. There may be more, I don't know, but these are the 5 in my school. Okay, and my school is founded by the founder of yoga, Shankar Nath, who was a student of Trilokinath, and it's been passed on in an unbroken lineage all the way to me. I'm very fortunate to have received 5 lineages, to 4, and I'm going to receive one this new moon from my teacher. So it's great, it's wonderful that you listen to this video all the way here. And if you have any questions, or if you want me to speak about anything more specific, if you want me to explain something more, I'm very accessible. You have my WhatsApp number. Just send me a message. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.